time. Hey, howdy, hey, how is everybody doing? And welcome back to Disney Daily. Today we have a very exciting episode for you guys. I have some very, very special guests. Thank you so much to my guests for being here. And thank you to you guys for popping in and out of the chat. I know that some of you watch this in real time and some of you like to watch things back. So whether you're here live or you're watching this back, thank you so much for being here. It's a very fun discussion. Before we get into everything, I definitely want to take the time to just acknowledge what's going on here in my home state of California. There are some really devastating fires going on right now. It's like very emotional. I'm like even getting choked up, even just talking about it. Thankfully I am safe. My family is safe, but there are so many who are not and displaced right now. And so I have a comment pinned right now with a link that will lead you to basically a big old spreadsheet of families who are in need right now. So if you can spare an extra, whatever you can, every little bit counts. And thank you so much to the first responders that are working so tirelessly right now. It's just really unprecedented time for us over here. So I did want to start by acknowledging that is going on. To move us kind of right along, I want my guests to each introduce themselves. These are some amazing people who I have been lucky to meet over just the internet, which is really amazing and crazy that you can just make friends over the internet. And we've all clicked and just remained friends. So that's really cool. I'm going to turn it over to my first guest, Rel, Theme Park Lifestyle. If each of you guys could just kind of say your name. I know it's on display for everybody, but like your name, what your channel is, you're welcome to drop your link. And what can they find on your channel? And then last, who is your favorite Toy Story character?
Hey guys, I am Rail Theme Park Lifestyle. You can find me on YouTube and TikTok, but we know what's going on with that. But I do a lot of things theme parks. I'm always in Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, and I'm going to Disneyland in February, y'all, for my first time.
Ooh. Nice.
But yeah, check me out on YouTube. And my favorite character, Toy Story, are the little green aliens.
Ooh, good choice. Very good choice.
Ooh.
And we are gonna send it on over. Does that point? Am I pointing the right direction? There we go.
Yeah.
To Lugo.
Hi, my name is Benny. I go by Lugo. It's my last name. I don't really do much YouTube or anything like that. I just became friends with some really awesome people who do that. And they decided to ask me if I wanted to come and do a podcast with them. Did it for quite a while. Obviously, life gets in the way. That's understandable.
Yes, it does.
I met some amazing people there. And that's why I'm here right now.
And who is your favorite?
My favorite, Woody. I don't know. Woody just clicked with me.
Really good.
Because he wasn't a bully or anything like that. It was just a regular toy.
Are you sure he wasn't a bully?
Shut up. I'll be a bully. Shut up.
That's okay. We'll get into that. Well, thank you so much to both of you for being here. We may or may not have another special guest coming in. And obviously, if they do, we will make sure we introduce them properly. But I thought we would kind of go through, I'm going to give you guys a timeline. We're going to go through the different Toy Story films, each individually, talk a little bit about each and every one of them. And then we are going to end on number 5, which is going to be coming out in 2006. Wow. 2026, me going back in time. But just a little history for you guys in terms of Toy Story. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm sure you do, Rel and Lugo. You probably know the history. But for those of you that don't know at home, so Pixar obviously was its own thing for a while, up until 1999 when Disney bought Pixar. Now, Disney always had kind of a hand in terms of money. With Pixar, they were giving them money to obviously help them put out these films prior to 1999, but they didn't have a whole lot of say. It wasn't their thing. So they started very small, Pixar, with just a really small team, and they came out in 1988 with Tin Toy. You guys are familiar with Tin Toy, yeah?
Nope.
No,
I
you're not
didn't
familiar
know
with Tin
about
Toy?
that. No.
Oh,
Not
okay. Let me
familiar
bring
with
up a
I
little.
just
Let me
like
bring up a picture. Lugo, did you know about Tin Toy?
I remember just the light, the little table lamp.
Oh, okay, okay.
The thing I
Let
remember.
me. Do you guys see it?
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
now I
I got
remember.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that's bringing back memories. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So this was Pixar's short, I believe first short, 1988, called Tin Toy. And in Tin Toy, you can see that guy in the middle with the red cap. I think he's like a marching band guy toy.
Mhm.
And in the short, it's basically giving just the perspective of a toy, and there's a bunch of the toys in the room, and they're all running away from this big baby, this massive little baby that's just like crawling on the floor. It's very interesting. This was very innovative at the time. If you go back and just kind of watch, obviously the animation that's going on, very innovative. And what happened was they were going to do basically a spin-off of Tin Toy called Tin Toy's Christmas. And it was basically going to revolve around Tin Toy. And he was a new toy. And then he was going to meet in Andy's room a ventriloquist dummy who was supposed to be the
Mm.
old toy. And they were going to be
Mm,
in a conflict. And that's actually the birth of Toy Story. So I'm not going to get into the nitty gritties about like how we actually got Buzz Lightyear and how we got Woody. But you can kind of guess like who was who in that scenario.
right.
And they decided, yeah, right, to take some like
Mhm.
creative, they took different creative choices just based on like what was maybe popular at the time. They changed the characters a little bit. So, anyways, we got Toy Story because of that. Now, to kind of paint the scene for everybody here, this is in the midst of Disney's Renaissance era. So, and as we all know here, Disney Renaissance era was the pinnacle of Disney, right? The golden time. It started with The Little Mermaid, and it goes
Mhm.
Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mulan, Hercules. You had all of these amazing movies coming out. And three prior, sorry, if I'm looking down right now, I had to list out the ones that came out before Toy Story, but you had The Little Mermaid in 89, Beauty and the Beast in 91, Aladdin in 92, and then Lion King in 1994.
Mhm.
Toy Story being 1995. So, as you can see, this was very experimental of Pixar because we kind of had a formula with Disney already, right? We had the princess and the prince, and they fall in love, and there's a fairy tale, and there's a perfect recipe with all of the perfect ingredients to make a good film, right?
Mhm.
But Pixar, I argue, kind of just went completely experimental. And I kind of want to ask you guys, why do you think they went experimental? Obviously it worked. Do you have like just an opinion as to like why you think maybe Toy Story was so epic at the time? Like why did it do so well in a time that it really did not adhere to what had come previously, if that makes sense? Even though I know that there are two different companies at the time, but still, why did it not follow that recipe?
Hmm.
I think
That's a
they wanted
really
to
good
be
question.
different. That's what it is. They wanted to be different. They wanted to go away from stray away from the grain. They wanted to go against the grain. And
Mhm.
at that time, like you said, all these movies were just coming out one after the other after the other. They were all fairy tale-ish. This
Mhm.
wasn't. It
Mhm.
was more you felt it more, you kind of grew up that way. So you
Mhm.
understand what was going on.
Mhm.
Because you always thought when you're a child, you have toys, your imagination runs wild. There you go.
Yeah. Rel, what about you?
My personal opinion, I think they wanted to gear towards a different audience. So that's why they
Mhm.
went against the grain. Because if you look at Disney, if you really
Mhm.
look at it, everything is geared towards girls, pretty much. And I
Yeah.
think they wanted something to gear towards the male side
Mhm.
to gravitate that audience as well.
Mhm. I actually really agree with that. I just had that conversation with my boyfriend actually yesterday. And I had come to that on my own, just kind of talking it out. I was like, Yeah, like up until that point, a lot of the Disney films were catered to little girls in a sense, right? The big beautiful dress, like the this, the that. I should say the traditional, like what a little girl is into, right?
Right.
But then we kind of, I think Lion King kind of tapped into that other market a little bit. But then Toy Story just came out and it was like, yeah, what are little boys into? They're into toys, they're into cars, things come in later.
Right.
Um, and they just kind of opened up this box of possibilities, right? Just simply by shifting, like you said, shifting the market. I also want to add, and I want to get your guys' feedback on it. Toy Story to me was the first, and I might word this weirdly, the first kind of risque animated film
Yes.
in terms of
Yes.
script, right? You can think of some comments, some things that are in Toy Story that you're kind of like, oh, that's funny as an adult. As a kid, it totally goes over your
Yep.
head, right? So, like, and my boyfriend put it perfectly. He said Toy Story walked so that Shrek could run, right? So Shrek coming out in, I think it's 2001.
Right.
Do you think that was a huge reason why Toy Story was so successful, is because it really tapped into the parents? Like it really, like we said, Rel, right, about like extending to not just like the little boys, but also expanding to adults. What is your guys' kind of?
I would personally say yes and no. I would say yes. The reason why I would say yes because they didn't do anything risque since Roger Rabbit, and that was very risque.
I guess risque is the wrong word.
I
Like,
knew where you were
Maybe
going with
it's
that.
you know what I mean,
more.
Will?
In a sense, yes. Because there were some comments made to Bo Peep, and it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
yeah,
another
yeah.
one that I'm thinking of right now, like the
Yeah.
laser envy. It's like
Hmm.
that's very adult humor. I guess
Yeah.
No,
adult
I
humor is
get what you're saying. I think what they did, they were able to take like things like from Roger Rabbit because they had risque jokes in Roger Rabbit because
good.
as a child,
I mean, Jessica
yes.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but like the comment, like the patty cake,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that went over my head until I was an adult.
Yeah.
But I think they took some of those elements and they seen that, hey, people kind of like that. Let's try to do it in a
Incorporate
family. Yeah. And I think that's what
Incorporated
they
because
did.
they're
Yeah.
separate, right? Like that's
Right.
Disney. That was Disney's like
Parent, that was their other adult movie production. I think it was
Mhm.
Touchstone.
Yes,
mhm,
yes.
mhm, mhm.
That show was their R-rated movie division. So,
Yeah.
Right.
and I also think having Tom Hanks do the voice of Woody helped a lot because he was so big at the time too.
Yeah, that's a really good
Mhm.
point. That's a
And
really
what's his face that mice Buzz, but I don't care about him.
Tim
Tim
Allen.
Allen.
Yeah, him.
You're right. I didn't think about that, but you're definitely right on that. The only thing, I'm glad they were casted, don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but not to segue, but I liked old animation where you didn't really know the person. It was just, wow, this voice really matches this character.
Mhm.
And you're not thinking in your head like, "Oh, this is blah blah blah." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like these people in the past, like you think of old films like Peter Pan, right? Sleeping
Right.
Beauty, they were casted simply because they had a voice that they were looking for,
Right.
not necessarily that they had star power. So while like you made a
They
good
had
point,
both.
that
They
was
had
probably
both.
what drew people to the box
Mhm.
office. It is a
But
little unfortunate that it wasn't.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was, but they did have that voice for that character.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. No,
But
you're
have
totally
you ever
right.
they fit.
noticed the character kind of resembles the actual person in a way?
That's done on purpose a lot of
Yeah.
times.
You're right.
Since you get to really feel that character
Yeah.
because you know, okay, well, that's that person.
Yeah. So and like my opinion, I just think like Toy Story started to incorporate these things in the animated world. So right. So like Jessica Rabbit is like it was live action slash animated,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
But Toy Story was the first one to be fully animated and have adults being brought into the
Right.
story, right? And And before we move on, kind of through the timeline, do you guys have a particular part of Toy Story, like a scene or something that just like really stands out to you? Is there something about Toy Story that you're like, man, that movie is just like this part in particular really got me, or this character in particular really got me? And I can kind of kick that off with Woody is my favorite character. If you look at my background, like he is up there for me. And why I'm so passionate about Woody is because Woody, I felt very seen as a child by Woody because I was the oldest and I had my brother come along 3 years later, and there was a lot of shift of focus to my younger brother. And I remember watching Woody, and when he's singing Strange Things, and like there's just this big shift in Andy's room from him to being kind of the priority to Buzz is now the priority. I just remember feeling for him and being like, oh my gosh, I could not relate more on a deeper level. And I don't think he's a bad character. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he just really was the most real of them all, like going through the emotions of like, how do I deal with this? How do I navigate this new world? But kind of going to turn it over to you guys. Is there a particular scene that really stands out to you from Toy Story, or is there a character who just really resonated with you?
I think when they first met Buzz,
That's a great.
because he's he's this machismo kind of thing, and he's trying and nothing's working, and except the wings.
Yeah.
It was great because it's like it put him into perspective, like you're just a toy. Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's a really good scene. That's one of my favorite. I think that's everyone's probably like top 5 is like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When he's on the bed and like thinks he's in outer space or something.
Yes. He's running around. He's got
yeah, a little laser. Rel, what about you? Is there anything in particular Toy Story that really stands out to you that you feel like made it super like iconic?
I think the little green aliens with the claw. That's my favorite part. Because like just thinking about how people are and like how people perceptions of certain things are, like they thought the claw was like gonna take them to heaven or like
Yeah.
to a place,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like how people think like life is. Like they have this idea or this dream of something, and that is so great and so good, and when it happens, it's not what they expect.
That's such a Rel, I really like that. What you just said right now. That's very like that couldn't be more true. The aliens just kind of having this idea of like, and it being kind of mirroring society, like this
Right.
idea of like what's going to happen after, and we're, wow, it's going to be this, and there's going to be that, and da 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 da, and then the aliens just being like brought, or the one, I guess, seeing something completely different than probably what they thought.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you guys. I love all of that. So obviously Toy Story was very ambitious, as we kind of already established. It was risky, like very, very risky at the time that they even put it out, but it was a huge success. So no need to worry. Clearly, we're still very much into it today, still very much talking about it today. So as I said, Disney kind of had a hand in just distribution wise, but didn't really have much else to do with Pixar. And then they bought Pixar in 1999. And I believe prior to that, before they bought them in 98 is when A Bug's Life came out, which is also one of my top 3 favorite Pixar films. I love A Bug's Life. I think it is extremely underrated. I think it is, honestly, if you just watch it back, it is comedic genius. Like everything about that movie is fantastic, in my opinion. And again, that's the Pixar creative team with kind of no real hands in the cookie jar in terms of creation, doing their thing. Again, kind of mirroring Toy Story and this like just group of like misfits together, and a little bit on the adult humor, kind of bringing in the adults again. And then 1999 hits and Toy Story 2 comes out. And Disney does have a hand in this now. And Toy Story 2 does better than Toy Story in the box office, significantly better than Toy Story in the box office. What did you guys like about Toy Story 2? Did you, at the time, did you think Toy Story 2 was just as epic, if not more so, than Toy Story? Did you feel that it didn't quite hit the mark? I would think most people would say that Toy Story 2 hit it out of the park in terms of a sequel, because sequels, as we know, are extremely tricky. They're extremely tricky and they're extremely controversial. You know, even just giving a more recent example, Moana. Moana was amazing. Moana 2 didn't quite hit the mark, unfortunately. You know, so what do you guys think? Toy Story 2, what's your opinion? What do you think? Was it good? Was it bad? Did it hit the mark? Did it not hit the mark for you?
For me, Toy Story 2. I'm gonna be very honest.
Okay.
I didn't have as much of a attachment to Toy Story 2.
Okay.
And I think because I couldn't really relate to what the storyline was really about, because that was the one where Woody was sold or
Yeah, that's the one where
stolen.
Woody gets taken by Al.
Yeah,
Sorry, I should have prefaced by like a little context on the movie. So in this one, Woody accidentally finds himself in a garage sale, and he's taken by Al, who is a toy collector,
collector. Yeah,
and he spends some time apart from the toys in Andy's room, and that's where he meets Jesse and Bullseye and Stinky Pete.
right. I don't know. It didn't resonate with me because I couldn't relate to the whole Toy Story 2.
Okay.
But what's strange, I did relate to 3.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Lugo, what did you think?
I think it's the I think it did very well. You know, if not a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the story was good. You know, it was obviously things was going to happen because Andy's getting a little older.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously every time you get a new movie, things like this happen. I had a feeling. I said after the first one, I'm like, if they make a second one, I bet you Andy's getting older and he's going to sell his toys.
Did you knew that? You had a feeling
I had that. It's a feeling because
yeah,
I had older brothers and their toys got handed down to me when they got older.
So. Yeah. Toy Story 2 is so special. So I'm going to let you guys in a little secret. Toy Story 2 is actually my favorite out of the whole entire franchise. Toy Story 2, I think Toy Story 2, let me just give you this and you'll probably be like, oh, okay, I see where it's coming from. Toy Story 2 made me cry. Toy Story 2 really tapped into that emotional response. You guys know what I'm talking about, Jessie's scene where Jessie is taken away from her owner. And this is where I argue Pixar starts to do that emotional tie thing that it does so well. We can think of like a ton of Pixar films right now. I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about them that just really pull at our adult human heartstrings. Jessie, the introduction of Jessie was really pivotal in that aspect of, wow, Pixar's getting deep. And we're getting emotional and we're going to tap into that audience, right? And then I think they kind of did the expanding the market even more with like what we said earlier about bringing the little boys in. I think they did it again. They brought the little girls in by having Jessie and Bullseye. What a great combination to sell. Because of course, you know, what are they motivated by always? As much as I love them, a lot of cash. So Toy Story 2, by most people's accounts, a successful sequel film. Kind of unheard of most of the time. What do you guys have? I know, Rel, you're not like a huge fan of Toy Story 2, but is there a character or a moment in Toy Story 2 that stands out to either one of you? Like, obviously, I brought up the Jessie moment that kind of tears at your heartstrings. Is there anything else?
To me, honestly, it really was the Jessie moment that captivated me in that movie. Toy Story 2. I would say you hit it dead on the nail about just like the heartstrings, like
yeah,
like.
And we know Pixar's going to start running with that, you know.
Yeah.
Also, let me just plug this cute little cup for everybody. Look at that. Ugh, look at that. Does anybody else have a cute little mug or cup they want to show off real quick?
I only have my Stanley.
So I think Toy Story 2, what it also does is it starts to really set up Woody's arc. Like Woody already has an arc, right? Every character has an arc. But in this one, Woody is really starting to go, what is my purpose? What is a toy's purpose? I always thought I knew what a toy's purpose was. It was to be played with and to be there for my owner. But Toy Story 2 plays with that idea for Woody of like, is there more? And what happens when they get rid of you? Is this what happens when they get rid of you, right? It becomes a lot deeper. And Woody's I would argue this starts to shape the rest of what happens to Woody in the next two films and why I think, not to jump ahead, Toy Story 4, Woody's arc makes complete sense to me. But what do you guys think? Like, do you think the toy's purpose, do you start to, or I guess, do you agree? Do you start to see what I see in that introduction of, yeah, toys, what is their purpose? And is there something more for me after this?
Yeah, I do see that. I agree. I did start noticing that storyline that the toys are thinking like, what's next for me? Because Andy or this individual is changing and they're not
Mhm.
making use of me like they used to. So what do
Mhm.
I do next? What's going to happen to me?
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Lugo?
Yeah, it's that neglect. You know, you're gonna that fear of neglect because it's gonna happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they're realizing that. Like, oh well, he's a lot older now, and I'm not being played with anymore. What's
Mhm.
gonna happen?
What is
That
going to happen?
neglect.
Did you guys think that there was going to be a 3? In all honesty, did you ever think
No.
that there was going to be a
No.
Toy Story 3?
Mm-mm.
I don't think anybody did.
No, I knew
I
there was
don't
gonna be a second one, but I didn't think it was gonna be a third one.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't think
thought
it was going to be a second one, to be honest with you.
that's fair. That's so valid. I think this is a thing, like, I think I also thought it was done after 2, and I was like, "Wow, what a successful boom boom for them." But then a little part of me was like, not Toy Story, Disney likes the money.
Yeah, you gotta ride that
So
cash flow.
that cash flow, and yeah, 11 years later, everybody
Yes.
take that in. 11 years later, we get Toy Story 3. And Toy Story 3 makes significantly more than Toy Story 2 does in box office theater. Was Toy Story 3 needed? And I kind of want you to be, I don't want you to try to be biased. If you liked Toy Story 3, try not to be biased in this. Was it needed? So take your, you know what, I know that's hard to do because we've seen it and you have your opinion.
Mhm.
Was Toy Story 3 needed though? Do you think? For the story, like for the story, for the characters, for the everything, did we need it?
I would say we didn't, but it exceeded what it was. What it was. You know, it's not like I'm saying that, oh, it was terrible and we didn't need a terrible movie. No, it was a very good movie. Just we didn't need it, but they decided to come out with it and it worked.
Yeah.
So can you blame them?
I would say it wasn't needed, but I can see why they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph with his little, I can see why they did it.
Yeah.
Money.
I mean, because if you think about it, you're following Andy's life as
Mhm.
he changes, as he gets older throughout the years.
Mhm.
So it kind of resembles what all of us go through throughout, from girls and boys, when you first get your first toy or your first doll, you love this
Mm-hmm.
doll, you have it all the time, and then all of a sudden it starts fading away and it starts changing, and you're into other things and not that.
Yeah.
So I see why they did it.
Yeah. And we grew up with the movies. Like, I don't know about you guys, but 95, I was 3. I was 3. I know. And 90, what did I say? Toy Story 2 came out in 99.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but then I get 11 years later from Toy Story 2, I get Toy Story 3, and it really hits home for me.
See, I
because
was in
I'm
college when Toy Story 3 came out. Really
Yeah, I was in my
resonated
20s.
with me
yeah,
when I
I
was
was
in
in my
college.
20s.
yeah, yeah. So Toy Story 3, why was it successful? And for those that maybe just need a little quick refresher, Toy Story 3 was the one where Andy is sorting through his toys on like who's going to go with him to college and who is not. A very big moment for the toys. Um, we see the toys get shipped to, I can't remember the name of the Sunnycrest. Is it Sunnycrest?
I think it was Sunnycrest.
Sunnycrest. And we see firsthand what happens to the toys at Sunnycrest. Very, very funny moments. And then we see kind of the ending of the legacy of Andy and his toys, where Andy turns over all of them to Bonnie. Which I keep getting chills through this whole live stream. Like just even talking, I think because I'm so tied to Toy Story, it like makes me emotional. But why was Toy Story 3 so successful in your opinion?
Because it showed that Andy's older
Yeah.
now. It's continuing on with that story of him and his toys.
Mhm.
And then
Granted,
also,
you don't see him all the time. It's
Yeah, in that one, yeah.
yeah.
it's something that we all do. Like even as an older person, like
Hmm.
certain things I keep from my childhood that I still have,
Mhm.
or that I carry around with me. That I think it's all the emotional attachments that make Toy Story 3 so great.
Yeah. It really like took Toy Story 2 and like turned it up 10 notches in terms of
Right.
the emotion. Cause you remember also the scene where all the toys are holding hands and they're about to go into the fire. I
Yeah.
mean, oh my gosh. Talk about whoo, just like a dagger to your heart. To be honest with you guys, when I first saw it in the theaters, I did not like Toy Story 3. More like because of the way it made me feel. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel awful. I'm sitting at the end of this crying. I'm like not happy. I'm very sad." So it actually took me a couple watches to really get on board with Toy Story 3, but I was super emotional. But I agree with you guys that what really made it stand out was it just capitalized on our like emotions and the kids that are watching it, that's the beauty of it, right? You have this whole new wave, new generation being introduced to Toy Story, and they're just fascinated because they have these toys talking, right? They have these cool looking toys, and they're fascinated by just simply that on the screen. But then you have adults coming to this film, and we're seeing something completely different on the screen than what the children are seeing, right? Two different types of viewers are there, but we're seeing two completely different things. I think that's really powerful and very
Right.
special, right?
Right.
Yes.
I saw you
It's
both.
all it's all the toys that we kind of
And I
grew up
think
with.
Disney and Pixar knew that, and that's why they're like, well, technically, the generation that watched the first Toy Story, they're pretty much adults now, you know.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
like they're playing with that whole emotion of, hey, we can get the same crowd again, plus their kids by doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would argue too, I guess not argue. Me, I'm always wanting to argue. I'm not arguing. I think what made Toy Story really different also was there was always a change up of location. Like I think that's important, right? Toy Story always was like it was in a house, right? We
Right.
kind of went outside when we went to Pizza Planet. Toy Story 2, we go and there's like split, right? We follow the toys on their journey, but then we also have Woody, right, in Al's apartment building. And 3 just really changed it up on us and was like, let's put him in like a elementary school.
Right.
Which I liked that. Lotso, I think, was a huge component to why Toy Story 3 was a very big success. Because if you think about Toy Story and Toy Story 2, we didn't really have a toy villain. We had Zurg, but Zurg really wasn't prominent in the story. Like we had flashes and glimpses of Zurg. But one, you think about who was like the villain? Sid. Toy Story 2,
I
who was
love
the villain?
Sid.
Al. 3, we actually had a toy that was a villain. What do you guys think? Do you kind of agree with that? That maybe
Yeah,
it
Yeah.
I
Oh
agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of needed something like that. Is the first two, you're like, okay, we did it this way. Amp it up a little bit. Throw that little curveball in there, and
Mhm.
it worked.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing, I was like, I don't like this dude. Lotso, he can get it. He can catch these hands.
Suspicious. That's weird. And it's funny because he's this pink, fluffy bear.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But
when pink cat from him.
diabolical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like flip of a switch. I was like, wow, evil.
Do you guys have a moment? Sorry, I know I'm kind of going through the same ebb and flow for each. Do you have a moment, a character, a something that really stood out to you in Toy Story 3?
When Lotso flipped it.
Yeah.
When Lotso went crazy, when you finally see Lotso, it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah, I
like
agree.
that.
Bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you
I
think,
agree
oh, it's a bear.
on that.
It's like, no.
Yeah. I think the ending got me. The goodbye. You just see him
Oh,
playing
yeah.
with the toys one more time, and then they're all sitting on the porch watching him drive
Playing with the
away.
heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's so sad, but so good. So I had brought this up to Rel and Lugo before we went live, but and my boyfriend was the one who kind of dropped this little nugget, the golden nugget. So Quentin Tarantino, you guys all probably know Quentin Tarantino. He's a director, very famous director who has directed Pulp Fiction. What's another one? He did one Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's a very well-known director. And Quentin Tarantino basically said that we don't need any more. The three Toy Story, 1, 2, 3. That's fine. That's good. We don't need any more. He said, I didn't even bother to watch Toy Story 4 because I felt like the trilogy was completed. And most films do sets of 3. Most iconic franchises, they come in sets of 3. We can think of Star Wars. Yes, there's 9, but they came in doses of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Godfather, doses of 3. There are even others that like they kind of did. Godfather have 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
had
Even though the third one shouldn't have been made.
but yeah, right. So like, and there's talks of like if the third should even have been made. But most like really iconic films, you know, they kind of stop at 3. Maybe they did 1, 2 were really good, and the third maybe it didn't do so well. But then it's like we have the 3, and then that's it. So do you guys agree, and this will kind of segue us into 4, but do you think that Toy Story should have stopped at 3? Do you think that it had everything that it needed to have? Because most people would say 1 did what it needed to do. It introduced the characters. 2 did what it was supposed to do. It flushed out the characters. It flushed out the story, right? It expanded the universe a little bit more. And 3 did what it was supposed to do, in that we had a lesson learned. There were takeaways.
I think it should have stopped at 3 because it gave us everything up until his adulthood. Like he was actually getting ready to experience life. So I felt like it should have stopped there. He could have gave the toys, you know, went to the elementary school, you know, so that's where it should have stopped at. But of course, you know, the money.
Yeah.
It's
But
all about the money.
you think it should have stopped.
It
was
should have
good.
stopped.
You agree with Quentin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What about you, Lugo? Same?
Oh yeah, yeah. Because when they did 4, you're like, oh, they're riding that wave again. They're trying to get more out of it because they think, oh, well, every time we made one, we made more, made more money. Maybe the 4th time will work. We're like, well, no, kind of, sort of, yes, but no.
Yeah, yeah. And we get Toy Story 4 in 2019, and believe it or not, Toy Story 4 just as successful, if not more so, than the one that came before. So Toy Story 4, for those that need a little reminder, because sometimes it's hard to keep them all straight. But Toy Story 4, we pick up the story in Bonnie's room, and the toys have now become a part of Bonnie's room, and we pick up a different character, a fun character, Forky, that became really big amongst kids. And when the family is like traveling, essentially Woody stumbles into a vintage shop, I'm trying to like do a long story short. It's kind of hard to do that, but essentially at the end, and in the midst of all of this, Woody is reunited with a classic character, Bo Peep, who a lot of people did love. Um, Even though Bo Peep didn't have, she wasn't really on screen a whole lot, but a lot of people did really like Bo Peep. There was always something between Woody and Bo Peep that was never fully fleshed out. So Woody gets reunited with Bo Peep. And at the end of the film, Woody goes his own way and he goes off with Bo Peep, and the rest of the toys go back with Bonnie. So that is Toy Story 4. Now, in your guys' opinion, and I will definitely let you guys go first, hand you the mic. Did you like Toy Story 4? Did you not like Toy Story 4? What's your feeling?
I did not like Toy Story 4 at all. I remember watching it, and then I remember saying to myself, what was the purpose of this? Like, why bring this? It's just like when you give away your toys. When you get older, your parents give away your toys. You don't know what happened to them. Like,
yeah,
so,
yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
But I also think it brought a different perspective of Bo Peep and Woody, like a different thought that you never would have thought about those two characters. Like, from what I remember, Bo Peep wasn't the same Bo Peep. She wasn't. She was like more, maybe I don't want to say adult, but more
Seasoned.
seasoned. Yeah,
Yeah. Like she's been through it.
yeah. She'd been through it.
Like
Yeah.
a veteran.
Mhm. Yeah. And there is actually a little spin-off called Lamp Life on Disney Plus. If you guys have Disney Plus at home, I highly recommend watching Lamp Life. It is a brief little insight into Bo Peep's life after she was given away. I believe in that one, it does not show that she goes off and kind of just becomes a lost toy. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. I'm blinking. I even made a breakdown video of it. But I believe it just shows kind of her going from like house to house, essentially. But I'm going to pass it over to Lugo. Thank you, Ralph, for that. Do you think Toy Story 4, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I enjoyed it. It wasn't as good to me as the other three were, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I can't complain about it. But like I said, it could have been better, but I enjoyed it. Yeah.
How, in your opinion, how could it have been better? In your opinion, what would you have done differently?
I wouldn't have made it at all.
Well, we're taking that out of it. We all know, we all agree Disney was making money. Like, Disney, first and foremost, it was never about the story. It was never about the characters. It was about Disney making money. We can all agree on that. But since it was made, what would you have done differently? What did you think it was missing? Like, what part of the ingredients did it not add for you? Because you said you liked it, but like, what was missing?
Just it could have had more. I kept trying hard to put it into words.
No, it's all good.
It felt like it lacked something, and I just can't put that finger. Yeah, can't put your finger on it. Like it just lacked something.
Rel, is there something you would have added?
I would have added Andy, more of Andy, like actually Andy getting or meeting up with those toys again, and
or like he finds them.
Him remembering playing with those toys, but Andy has his own family at this point.
Oh, that would have been cute.
I think that's what it should have been.
And passed down to his kid.
If they did afford. Yeah, exactly.
I think I like that. The problem is they would have had to have sped up Bonnie.
Yeah.
True.
I love that. But Bonnie, and at the end of 3, Bonnie is a certain age. And when we get to 4, not very much time has passed, right? Because Bonnie's still relatively the same age. But I love that. That actually would have been super cute and wholesome and probably would have made me cry again. That's a really good addition. I like that, Rel, a lot. Here we go again. Hear me going on. I'm unpopular opinions tonight. Again, I already get to see the chat. Toy Story 4 ruined Woody. I actually loved Toy Story 4. If I had to rank them, honestly, it would be 2, 1, 4, 3. I love Toy Story 4. And I know that there were a lot of elements that were very similar to the other films. So that's what, like, right, like Gabby Gabby was kind of reminiscent of like Lotso. So they weren't really doing too much different. But what I really loved was the element of the lost toys. Like, we didn't really have an element of lost toys. I feel like in the first one, I can't think of anybody that was like, they were lost and they kind of got to have some interaction. The second one, I don't remember any lost toys. It was like the toys that were going to be sold in Japan, and then there were toys inside the toy store, when the toys go in there and they meet Barbie. But like the fourth one, we got to see kind of what happens to toys that are abandoned, which like I think is interesting, or not even abandoned, lost, as they call themselves, the lost toys. So I loved that element about Toy Story 4. So I did feel like even though this was a cash grab, they incorporated something that was different to the story. I appreciate that. My second thing is that I do feel, and this brings me back to one of my first points, is that I think it really completed Woody's arc of Woody already feeling like, what is my purpose? Not understanding what his purpose is, feeling like he's always kind of put everyone else first. He's always been selfless. He's always been looking out for everybody else and their happiness. And he finally went, well, what makes me happy? Because I'm not happy anymore. And I think that's a really important thing for kids to see, whether they register that or not. But yeah, it's great to make other people happy and do what other people want you to do. But if it comes at the expense of your happiness, then what is that? Right. And I love, because he always had a soft spot for Bo Peep. There was always something there. And he finally got this chance to be with her again. And it was like, okay, I know what a toy's purpose is. Like, I finally understand what a toy's purpose is. Right. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. That's my opinion. And maybe like you guys can kind of see that perspective on it. But
I can see it.
I can see that. Definitely can see that.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat said it was a failed end.
What happened?
It was a failed end for the
failed end.
Yeah. Toy Story 4.
I wouldn't say
I
failed.
disagree.
I wouldn't say it failed.
I disagree.
I mean, yeah, it's an opinion.
And it is opinion. And my opinion, it doesn't matter. But like, I just don't think it. I don't think it ruined. I definitely don't think it ruined Woody. And this is speaking from a person who is a Woody. What do the kids say? Stan? I don't know what that even means.
I don't either.
Ride or die for whoever it is. I love Woody. And I think it fit Woody's heart. I think it fit who Woody is. I think Woody finally let go and stopped being so control over everything and saw the shift already that Bonnie never really needed him. And he was never Bonnie's toy.
Yeah, he was always Andy's.
He was always Andy's. I'm going to get sad even saying that. He was Andy's toy. He was never Bonnie.
I mean, it was under his foot anyway, said Andy.
It was under his foot. It was under his foot.
It did say Andy under his foot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's
go to Hollywood Studios. You see, it says Andy.
Maybe he'll go and find Andy.
So I don't know. I'm of the opinion. Can you guys real quick ranking your thus far? Which is your first, second, third, fourth? I probably know what your guys' fourth one is.
In order, in chronological order.
Chronological order?
Yeah.
A 1 and 3.
1, 3.
Yeah.
2, 4.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, I don't even count for it. That was not needed.
I mean,
what did Mark say? Mark said, I hope in Toy Story 5, Woody will be able to speak to Andy if it'll be the conclusion to the franchise. Well, that brings us over to Toy Story 5. Yeah, 2026. Toy Story 5 is coming out. My first question to you both, did you think there was going to be a 5? And this is prior to any type of drop that they did at the expo. Did you think that there was going to be a 5?
No, not at all. I thought it was done. After 4, I thought it was done.
No.
I think you should have stopped at the trilogy.
And see, Rel, you and I get it. I get what you're saying, but I still love the fourth one. Okay, so neither one of you thought there was going to be a 5. Audience, I did think there was going to be a 5. My second or third video on this channel is me predicting what Toy Story 5 was going to be about. It is there. You can pull it up. I look really haggard. I don't look great. I don't know what I'm even saying half the time. But I did think there was going to be a 5, and mostly because I knew cash. I knew that they could continue to capitalize on Toy Story and they could make more money and they could come out with more merchandise. Because you think about Forky blew up and kids were buying Forky left and right. I had a Disney Pass and I would go and I would see all the kids picking out all the Forky stuff. So you knew that we're going to make another one just simply based on money, right? And my prediction when it was announced that a Toy Story 5 was good, like there were rumors of it. Well, I guess should I tell you guys what I put in the video? Like what my original was? It's actually kind of fun. Like I wish I was part of the Imagineering team and to be there and write up some stuff. So in my 5th one that I made up hypothetically, essentially what happens is I wanted Woody and the toys to be reunited again. And what I thought was that they could do this at Andy's college campus. And I thought that would be really funny. I thought that could open up a whole box of like what you could see on a college campus, funny things you might get into. And I thought about it. I was like, I don't know how the toys would remember what college he went to, but I was like, Woody, in Toy Story 3, Woody is put into the college box. So in my Imagineering brain, I was like, Woody could have remembered seeing like an acceptance letter or a banner or a pin or something that said what college he was going to. And basically he would want to hunt down and find Andy one last time because he didn't feel like he kind of got that complete feeling of like really letting go in this new chapter of his life. And the toys would have felt the same way. And so my idea was that the toys, both Woody and Bo Peep and the toys at Bonnie's room would go and venture to this college to find Andy. And I thought it would just be so funny to watch the toys going in and out of different things that you would see on a college campus, like a game, like a basketball game or a football game. I thought it'd be so funny if like Ham, because he's a bank, he would like stumble into like a mathematics class or something like that. I thought that would be super funny. If like Jesse and Bullseye, maybe they accidentally stumbled into like an agriculture class or something like that. Buzz stumbles into aerospace engineering. Like I thought it would be super funny of them going through, like they get into the dorms somehow and they're seeing all these wild kids at the dorms and they're like, where's Andy? I just thought it would be super funny. So that was my OG like prediction before there was any type of like Toy Story 5 was going to happen. It was just me hoping that Toy Story 5 was going to happen.
That sounds exciting.
It does.
Me thinking that it would be like this wonderful, yeah, like they're going to come to me and be like, hey, Disney Daily, we want to pay you for your ideas. But then the rumor happened and then I started to also think, well, maybe Toy Story 5 could be a Woody prequel. Maybe we could hear what Woody's life was like prior to Andy. And there was a big rumor out there from an old animator. I don't know if you guys had heard this one, that Woody was actually passed down from Andy's father to Andy. Yeah, it's like a whole thing. There was an animator that came out that worked on the projects that he wasn't supposed to. I think his name was like Joe Raft or something, or John Raft or something. He was not supposed to say this, but he like did. And he hinted at the fact that Woody's was actually the Woody in, you know, the commercial that is in Toy Story 2 when they're like, they're playing the "You'll Have a Friend in Me."
I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That Woody, that was actually Woody. And essentially Andy Sr., so not the Andy we know, but his father saw him on TV and they were running some sort of contest. And that Andy Sr. entered that contest and he got Woody. And that the Andy on the bottom of his foot isn't actually our Andy, it was Andy Sr.'s. And what happens is that Andy Sr. gets really sick. He gets like polio. He gets something. And essentially, like, you're not supposed to, I think, touch other items because they're contaminated. So Woody gets put in the box and he gets put up in the attic for years and years and years. And then when he's pulled out and given to Andy Jr., he thinks it's the original Andy because he was the same age in which he got taken away.
Ah,
Does that make sense?
that does.
Gotcha.
It
Isn't that
does.
interesting?
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
interesting.
So apparently that was
And
a whole thing, like
why
that,
don't we get something like that? We had the backstory of why we have a Buzz Lightyear toy, right?
which I didn't particularly care for, if I'm being honest.
I didn't, but it was interesting.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, it was interesting. Like that's why we have that toy because it's based off a movie character that was made into a movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. What about you, Rel?
I just find that very interesting. Your whole storyline plot. I'm still stuck on that. Like,
Which one? The one about Andy Sr.?
yeah, it just makes me think. Like, wow,
Yeah, they
it
had
makes
like a whole
sense too.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And
And it's kind of a fun,
yeah, it fits.
it's totally fun. Like, I'm like, yeah, there was like, and granted, they could jazz it up maybe a little bit, you know, but like,
Mhm.
how fun would that have been to have like like that's Andy, like that's Woody's background. Woody was a part of Woody's roundup. And that was the only thing that I think was missing was like, why does Woody not remember this? But I feel like that's easily explained because you remember when Buzz is completely wiped clean, he doesn't remember who anybody is. So I
right.
think you could say the same for Woody. Woody could just be completely wiped clean and not remember that he was even a part of Woody's roundup. Right?
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. So anyways, we get Toy Story 5. We got a very, very short clip released at D23 of what Toy Story 5 is going to be about. And let me bring up that picture, which I'm sure you all have seen. I'm sure you all saw the clip when it was going viral. Toy Story 5. What do you think about the direction that they chose? So tech meets toy. What do we think?
Oh, I think this is awesome because this is today's generation.
Mhm.
Because today's generation, they don't play with toys. They
Nope.
just straight tech.
It's the
Yeah,
right way to go. If you're gonna do it, do it. Like this is right.
yeah.
Everybody's face is in a screen now, so
Absolutely. And my thing is like, how are they gonna, what is the plot? Because we see Woody's in that picture.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's
Does anybody else, I mean, everybody in the chat, look really closely. I don't know if I can zoom in. I don't think I can. Does that give us any better of a, no.
Yeah, Slinky,
Yep,
T-Rex,
Slinky,
Woody, the pig, Jesse,
Jesse, Bullseye,
and
Buzz.
Buzz. Yeah.
And you can see Forky's hand.
yeah, is that wire brush?
But like, what are they gonna do? Do you guys have any
Pipe
ideas? Like,
cleaner
what
hand. This is just a pipe cleaner.
Maybe Woody end up going back to Bonnie after realizing life is not so great with Bo Peep.
Mm. I know. Why is Bo Peep missing? That's maybe it is that way. So we're made to think, oh, did something happen? But like she's really there. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? That was a good question. Why was Bo Peep missing in the When did they get rid of Bo Peep? I don't even remember that.
Oh, when she's gone in the stories.
Yeah,
Toy Story 3. She was around in Toy Story 2.
Mhm.
which I thought so. In 3, she was gone, right? She was gone in 3. But
Yes.
what made her be gone in 3?
So is it Lamplight? I think it is in Lamplight that she's just given away because Andy's sister, why am I blanking on her name? Molly. Molly gives Bo Peep away. And Toy Story 3, the beginning, Woody acknowledges that Bo is gone.
Yeah, I remember when he did that. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm wondering if this picture is making us think like, oh, she's gone, but she's really not gone. She's actually there. And it's kind of like what you're saying, like maybe they realize like it's not so great out there. Maybe
Right.
they even stumble upon, because you know how Bo Peep was in a park, right? In
Mhm.
in 4, she's in the park and that's when she sees Woody. Maybe when they're in the like kids aren't out on the parks or in the parks anymore because of tech.
Right.
Which I mean, I don't see as many kids outside playing. Like I used to grow up and you couldn't get me home. That's how long I was playing in the neighborhoods with my friends. You could not get me home.
See, in my generation, they would say, "Leave, don't come. You can't come in the house until the street lights come on."
Yeah,
Oh,
that
you
was
want
for
something
me.
to drink? There's the water hose.
That's
Yep.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like you couldn't get me home. I was playing out in the streets with my friends. But this generation, unfortunately, a lot of them are on like what is this? iPad, which Bonnie's
Yeah.
on.
Their faces in the screen.
Yeah, phones, TV, even TVs.
Hmm.
So could it be that maybe that like Woody and Bo Peep just realized, man, we don't even have kids out here that we can entertain.
Maybe.
I just thought of that right now and I kind of like it.
I'm excited to actually watch this and see where they take this.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what they would make Bonnie's like storyline. Like I'm trying to, because obviously it's going to heavily be around, focus around Bonnie.
Right.
But maybe Bonnie is just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like it seems like it's a very when you look at it, it's a very straightforward thing, right? Bonnie is going to be consumed by technology.
Right.
Like what's going to make this movie so interesting and iconic?
And they look so sad and so nervous and so scared.
Yeah,
So
especially Slinky.
I know.
Bonnie must not be playing with them at all.
Yeah. I'm really worried. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. I'm really worried about 5. I didn't feel worried about 4. I still think 4, even though there are some controversial opinions, 4 still did relatively well, and 4 is still looked at as a good movie. I'm really worried about 5. Do you have the same worries, or do you think they're gonna be fine?
I don't know.
I think they'll be fine, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna blow it out of the park, but I could be wrong. You know?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Disney can be a hit or miss with things. So especially since they I hate to say this. Whenever they take over something and they put their hands in the pot, it kind of taints the original thing or what it was.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to make it so much of a grab for money that the story can't be what it should be. Even
Marvel.
Even for example, like with the Star Wars trilogy, with all the Star Wars movies, whenever Disney merged with Lucasfilms, it's just a different element. It's not the same.
Yeah. Which and not that saying that it's not that it's bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, but yeah.
But I know what you're saying. It's just different.
Yeah, it's different.
And I don't know how much of the creative team is still together, if I'm being honest with you guys.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with the Marvel movies. The Marvel Universe, same thing. When Disney bought Marvel, you can see a change in the movies.
I don't know much about Marvel. When did they buy Marvel?
Yeah.
Should we do a quick?
I think it was soon after first Avengers or before that.
2009.
Okay, so
2009. I'm not a huge Marvel person, so I can't speak to like the ship.
Well,
but I'm very interested in like.
It's a difference in the Marvel. It is a difference in the Marvel.
Yeah, it was after the Incredible Hulk, right before Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, and I saw both of those actually.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's just different, right? Like, and it's not that it's good or bad, I guess, because you have people who really like it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I like the movies. It's just you see a little difference, and you're just like, well, it could have been a little bit darker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm worried. I'm worried about 5. I think you guys are right. I think it'll be okay. I think they're gonna be fine. Well, obviously they'll be fine. Like they're still gonna make money. They're still gonna be fine. But I think for me, it's like the characters. I'm so like they're not even mine, and I'm so protective over them and their story that I'm like, oh, please, please do everybody right, do everybody justice, make it make sense. Like we didn't have this huge epic divide between the toys, that really emotional pull
Right.
of Buddy, Woody and Buzz going their own directions after being best buds and like literally like brothers. Like you can't do that to me and then just stick them right. I mean, I just you know what I'm saying? It just really
Right.
messes with me. Like, what are you doing?
Then you got to also think about it too. Bonnie was the one that ended up with the toys, but did she really play with them like that? If you think about it,
Mm. I mean, given like the fact that she was even like more entertained with Forky than she was
right? I
the other
can't see
toys.
thinking about it. I don't see her playing with Woody or Buzz. Maybe Jesse,
Mhm.
Mhm.
maybe Slinky and T Rex, but I think Woody and Buzz would have been left out a lot because look at Bo Peep. Andy didn't really play with Bo Peep. She was there, but
Mhm.
that wasn't his toy.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I'm very curious. I think we're on a really good watch. We'll have to all just like text each other during it and be like, "Hey, we were right," in terms of like why Woody's back, because I think it is something along the lines of like they just thought it was going to be glorious out there. It turns out it's not glorious because all the kids are at home on their iPads. Um, and I think it could be really cute, though. I think that there's a way that they could tap into these kids and change their minds in terms of like, no, look, playing with toys is way more fun than what you're doing on screen. Um, I think it's going to be fun too if they continue to expand and add new characters. I actually am a huge fan of new characters. I know that's controversial for a lot of people when they add to worlds. Um,
Right.
I can think of several. Like I know Rey is very controversial for a lot of people from Star Wars. I love Rey. I personally am a fan of Rey. I very much am my arms are wide open to new characters because I like seeing what they're going to bring to the story, how they're going to change things up. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think would be like a new character that they could bring, given that it's like a technology kind of thing?
What if my idea, a character? What if the characters are them, but it's all virtual?
Oh, I didn't even
Mm,
think about that.
mm.
I like that. So it's like Woody, but it's like the internet, but like
Yeah, a
internet version
Mhm.
of
virtual.
Woody.
Yeah, and
I
he's confused as to why you're playing with me, but you're not playing with me. Like,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, cause like and then you think, like, if they have these like, let's say she's playing a video game, right? Which all
Mhm.
kids do. But then what you do as a kid with a video game, I would assume you go out and buy the toy for that video game, right?
Right.
Mhm.
You kind of instill that cycle of like, well, then you still come back to the toy. So are we gonna see Bonnie just go out and buy the toy of her favorite video game?
Maybe.
Maybe like a when she can control with her iPad, something like that.
Oh, I didn't even think about that
Hmm.
either, because we can do that now.
Yes, we can.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
I like this all. I think you like us three, like we need to go to Disney and Pixar and be like, "Hey, listen, we can add some things here."
I got some ideas for you,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah, we got some more ideas. Is there anything else you guys would like to add to Toy Story 5? Anything in terms of like what you hope, what you
Just
think?
don't disappoint. Just don't disappoint.
Yeah,
That's
just
all.
don't disappoint. And I think this needs to be the final end all be all.
Yes, please. Give it a good ending.
And give me
Re-
another Incredibles.
But remember, they come in doses of 3. So
So you think we're gonna get a 6?
I personally think we're gonna get a 6, and then I think we'll be done.
Ugh.
What do you guys think?
I mean, it's a possibility.
Possibility.
It depends on how this one does.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I
it
think
all
that's
depends on how it does.
very yes. I
Well,
also
I
think
know Tim Allen. A friend of mine met Tim Allen
oh,
in Hollywood Studios, and they had
oh,
a conversation. This was before Toy Story 4 even happened. had
Oh.
a conversation, and he was like, he's done with playing a toy. He can't see himself at this age playing a toy. And then Toy Story 4 happened.
That's the funny part. Is like it keeps coming back. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Maybe he
Toy
just said
Story.
that to get off the trail.
Mm.
Throw them off.
Could have.
Throw an audible.
I also think since we kind of did the 3 of like Andy's story, I think this is why I think there's going to be a 6. It's the 3 of Bonnie's story. Even though I feel like we don't have nearly as close of a bond with Bonnie as we did Andy.
Right.
And that's not Bonnie's fault as a character. That's the way they decided to shoot.
But it makes sense. It makes sense because you see her here on the, if that's Bonnie on the bed, face deep in an iPad, we're going to see her older.
But did Bonnie ever even have a bond with the toys?
Maybe we'll find out in this one.
And so that's what I mean. In 4, we don't even get to see her really bond. We just, as soon as the movie starts, we are met with learning that Woody's been neglected.
Right.
But the other toys are kind of being played with. And then she goes to school and she makes Forky and brings Forky home. And Forky is like her end all be all. And I around Forky. And then even then, like the story doesn't focus around Bonnie, right? It focuses around Woody's journey, the toys, like trying to find Woody. So it's unfortunate for Bonnie because Bonnie just never gets flushed out. So that's why I'm almost thinking too, now that I'm saying it, we will get a 6 because 5, we're really going to flush out Bonnie. And then 6, we're going to conclude. We're going to bring it home.
Well, I hope they bring it home and they end up with Andy. Again.
Please.
To Andy's children or something.
I think that will happen.
Maybe not in this one.Maybe in the next one.
I don't think it'll be in this one. I
don't think so either. It could be in the last one. If.
You know. What
was that?
If is good. I think it's Hercules.
I think so.
Yeah, it's Hercules. I think it's Pain and Panic.
I think so.
Yeah, I think now that I'm talking, I love that we had this conversation, guys. And now that I'm like talking about it, I'm like, yeah, there's going to be a 6. And the 6 ending is going to be that somehow, even if it's just Woody and Buzz, they wind up back with Andy and Andy passes it down to one of his kids. And then it's done.
Or what if Andy goes to a garage sale and sees them and he's like, oh, I remember having this toy, and he buys them.
I think that'd be so sweet. Like I think
that could work too.
I think that'd be the perfect ending that all of us would be like, okay, I understand why you continued and I love it.
Right.
We see this whole journey of the toys and then they just come right back to Andy. I think that would be super amazing.
Go full circle.
Full circle. Yeah. Well, I think we do have some friends here. If anybody in the chat would, and please keep this on topic, if you would like to ask us a question regarding Toy Story, or if you have a comment you want to make about Toy Story, it can be about any of the films, it can be about any of the characters, it can be your own prediction that you'd like to share. You are more than welcome to drop those in the chat. Thank you so much for those of you that are watching in real time. We really appreciate it. Lugo and Rel, are you able to at all drop your handles, anything in the chat? Does it let you?
Yeah.
I don't really have much.
Yeah, well,
I don't make videos, so.
Well, you're amazing. And we love you, and you have great insight.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome to drop that in the chat right now. And for those of you that already knew, Rel is one of our mods at the Disney Daily family. So, yeah, he's ours. We're lucky to have him. Let me see if there's anything up top. No. Okay, theme, you dropped it. Perfect.
Yeah.
I hope in Toy Story 5, Woody will be able to speak to Andy. Oh, we did talk about that. I don't know if Woody will talk to Andy in the 5th. I don't know.
I don't think he should talk to them because that's something that the toys do amongst each other. Because whenever they notice Andy comes around, they just act like toys. They stop talking, they stop doing anything. And I
Yeah.
think it should stay that way. Because would you really want to talk to your toy?
Yeah. Yeah. I get what they're saying. Like, I get it, but I also just I don't think Andy's coming back anytime soon. I think it's too much back and forth if they were to do that. That's why I think that there's a 6 that'll happen.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Only one way to
Hopefully
find
that
out.
the storylines are great enough for it to be a 6. And that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one also, I just realized too, this isn't going to be there's no villain in this one either. Like,
Technology is the villain.
technology is the villain, which is very interesting.
That's why I think they may make a character for the technology.
It would be pretty cool. I kind of hope they do.
And this is what I was saying about that toy.
What
You
is
know,
Ralph?
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. A tech villain would be pretty cool. I imagine
Yeah,
pretty high tech,
it
pretty.
makes sense because if you see her
Miss
with the
Wanda,
iPad.
what's up, friend?
Maybe
Hello, love.
maybe it's a Tesla robot or something.
It may be. Who knows? And maybe the tech toy can talk to the toys, when it's not being played.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like, because if you think about too, like Toy Story 4 was also a toy villain, but Gabby ended up being, it was a misconception. It was a misunderstanding. The whole thing, she wasn't a villain. She just was misunderstood.
Right.
Which I like. I actually do kind of like when movies do that. I kind of like when they go like, okay, here's the villain. They seem like they're the villain. They're evil. They're doing these things. And then it just like they flip and they show you this other side and you're like, oh, well, I didn't know that. You know? Which I like, again, kind of adds to my like why I liked 4 was at least the villain was doing something different than previously, you know.
Which one had Sid as an adult? One of them had Sid as an adult.
Oh yeah, I made a video on that. Yeah. I think it's Toy Story 3. He's a truck, like a garbage disposal guy. Garbage guy. Yeah. Yeah. He's wearing his skull t-shirt and everything. Yeah.
I feel like he needs to come back into the picture.
I personally love Sid, so I would like Sid to come back. Sid's funny.
Yeah, I feel like he needs to come back into the picture some kind of way.
Sid is I feel like a very misunderstood character. When I made the video about Sid, I made it's like, where did Sid go and whatever. I said that Sid, the reason why he's a garbage collector is because he reflected on his old self and how he was so mean to toys and so destructive. And that's why he became a garbage collector. Is one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? He would go around rescuing these toys that were thrown out and no one cared about anymore. So that's the video I made, was like, basically, why do we see Sid as a toy collector or trash collector? Because he's redeeming himself from his past, which there's no fact to that. That's my idea.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. 65 plus. You know what would be fun to see? Speaking of that, 65 plus. If they actually did a whole movie on when you were talking about Andy's father, Andy Sr., if they actually did a whole movie on just Woody, like showing how Woody got to Andy, like actually physically got to Andy, that would be awesome to see. And then we can see Andy Sr. as a senior citizen or whatever.
I agree with that.
That would be cool to see.
I agree with that.
If you're listening, hire us.
Please.
I agree with that because I think there's a lot to be fleshed out about Woody. And Woody never really says anything about like this is his only home. I don't think he ever says like this is the only place I've ever known. This is the only like I think they allude to that. Based on 2 where he's out in the world and stuff like that. But I don't think he ever actually says like, oh, this is where my story began.
Right.
So there could be a whole thing we don't know about Woody. And I say, if we did it for Buzz, we do it for Woody.
And
That's exactly what I said.
Did it for Woody because he was like the main character.
He was the man.
He was the man. I love Woody. Justice for Woody. Yeah, he needs a whole film dedicated to just him. And I think people would, I don't know, because then I think about this age of kids. I don't know. Are they going to run out and see a cowboy toy?
I think they would. And if they wouldn't, the parents would because of those heartstrings of Woody, and they would take their children to go see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Toy Story walked so everybody else could run. Or Shrek, DreamWorks, all of them. All right, I think that concludes our discussion. Lugo, Rel, do you have anything you want to say? Any little, like a send-off before we conclude?
No, not really. I'm just happy to be back. I might be coming back to YouTube very soon.
Nice.
I feel that I've been very distant as well. I've had a lot of things going on. So it's so nice to be here. I'm like, oh, I really miss it. I miss doing.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah. Lugo, anything you want to leave everybody?
Just be kind to everybody. Be kind. It's not hard to be kind to anybody. It takes more to frown than it does to smile.
You're so right.
Just remember that.
I like that a lot. I think we need to remember that. There's been a lot of, I feel like, I don't know, the internet's scary. And maybe this Toy Story 5 will play into that. A lot of feelings of being removed from people and being just saying whatever you want. No repercussions. And it's very sad. So I really like that's what we're leaving off on. Be kind to one another. You never know what someone else's battle is.
Everybody has their own story.
Yep.
Everyone has their own story. Well, thank you so much to my guests.
Second to Toy Story. Everyone has their own.
Yeah. Rel and Lugo, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
No, thank you for being here. This made me super happy. I get so passionate about this stuff and animation in general. So thank you so much for being here and discussing this with me and bringing up points that I never even thought of. And I agree. We should be hired. Thank you, everyone who is here watching, the viewers. We really appreciate you for being here and chiming in and just listening. And I appreciate you all. And again, one last time, just want to bring up that there is a link that I've pinned. If you can, please try to donate to the fires here in Los Angeles. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for being my guest here on Disney Daily, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye.